And as the Federal Reserve continues to cut rates, top corporates are becoming more convinced with swapping from paying fixed to paying floating interest rates. And that is mainly to take advantage of the expected rate cuts. In this next report, we break down the scenarios if the Fed becomes ultra-dovish as President Trump wants. Take a look.
Well, so far, the Fed has held its ground amid President Trump's pressure tactics on interest rates. The central bank did cut rates 3 times in a row towards the end of 2025. However, policymakers were more concerned about the weakness in the labor market than Trump's tariffs-led inflation. Despite the 4 rate cuts since late 2024, Trump has criticized the Fed for not cutting rates deeper and faster. For 2026, markets have priced in 2 cuts, while the Fed members have bet on 1 cut. However, the current Fed boss, Jerome Powell's term ends in May, and that will usher in a pro-easing Fed chair. Trump has made it clear the next Fed chief will be the one who is ready to cut rates to his liking. There are several scenarios that could play out should the Fed turn MAGA dovish, as Trump expects. A Fed cutting without justification scenario will see the U.S. 10-year yield heading significantly higher, the opposite of what rate cuts are meant to do, although it looks unlikely at the moment. The Fed Governor Lisa Cook is forced out and replaced by a dove. Powell steps away from the Fed completely, not just steps down as chair, but actually leaves the Fed. While that is probable, it is not certain. If that were to be the case, then the voting members would be MAGA doves. That would mean a Fed cutting without justification scenario. The Trump administration impacted Fed swings super dovish and executes rate cuts far in excess of what's required. And in this scenario, an elevation of inflation risk plus a tarnishing of the perception of the Fed's independence poses a toxic cocktail. The cumulative set of circumstances should not be good for risk assets, but they could hold off on making that judgment, at least until or unless it manifested in a material negative outcome for corporate America. Business Bureau, WION World is One.